All right, what is going on, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome back to the KC Sports Report. Michael Darcy, your host here as always. And today I'm going to break down the Kansas City Chiefs' embarrassing loss to the Buffalo Bills on Sunday Night Football. Unfortunately, the Kansas City Chiefs are no longer the best team in the AFC. And they proved that last night against the Buffalo Bills when they let the Bills come into Kansas City, into Geehaw Field at Arrowhead Stadium. I don't even know why I said that. It's Arrowhead Stadium. And they put up 38 points, and the Chiefs lost by a final score of 38-20. This game is inexcusable. The Chiefs had no business losing this game in the fashion in which they did. But you know what's funny? Coming into this game, I predicted it. I knew the Chiefs were not going to have the personnel available to stop Josh Allen in this Bills offense. And unfortunately, I was correct. And that really, really angers me to say, because if I can tell you that the Chiefs' defense is a problem, and I can tell you what the Chiefs could do differently to solve that problem, maybe the coaching should be able to do the exact same thing. They're getting paid millions of dollars to do what pretty much all of us could do, and that's just by making simple adjustments. Now, obviously, there's more to being a defensive coordinator, being an offensive coordinator, than just calling the plays. But the Chiefs have not put the right personnel on the field to be successful. And, I'm not trying to go off on a tangent because there's so much to unpack. I kind of waited another 12 hours after this game ended because I just needed to let this sink in. The Chiefs haven't been beaten like this at home I can't even remember the last time it happened. It wasn't in the Patrick Mahomes era. I mean, they've always had pretty rough games where they lose, but usually it's by a touchdown or something close like that, but the Chiefs got their asses kicked. There's no way around that. And, a lot of people are going to blame the offense, and a lot of people are going to blame the defense. This is a team loss, and honestly, I wish it wasn't that case, because, if it was the defense, we could at least complain about them, and don't get me wrong, they were horrendous, but when the offense is just as bad, you have equally amount of a reason to be as mad about the offense as you are about the defense. But getting to the defense first, this Chiefs defense is not good enough to win a Super Bowl. I mean, they're not even good enough to make the playoffs. The Chiefs are 2-3 right now. If you think that the Chiefs, with the 31st overall defense, it might even be the last defense right now, I don't even know, because they're allowing 32.6 points a game, which is not good. And offensively, you're turning the ball over at a rate that is worse than the NFL. You've got 11 turnovers through the first 5 weeks of the season. And last night, the Chiefs had 4 more turnovers. Byron Pringle fumbled on the kick return. Patrick Mahomes threw a pick 6, which was kind of on Tyreek Hill. It hit off his hands, but it wasn't a great ball. On the very next drive, Patrick Mahomes threw an interception, a bad one, in the red zone, in which the Chiefs probably would have scored. And then in the final 5 minutes of the game, Patrick Mahomes botched a snap, and the ball went behind him, and basically all hell broke loose. Guys were running around, jumping on it. The ball slipped out from the lineman. It was not pretty, and the Bills fell on it. They got the ball back, and they just made it hurt. And honestly, I think that there's a lot of aspects in this game that went completely south, because honestly, outside of maybe 1 or 2 players, the entire Chiefs team looked terrible. Patrick Mahomes looked bad. Tyreek Hill looked bad. He still has not been able to beat the cover 2. And Travis Kelce had a pretty mediocre game. It's just nobody really impressed offensively, defensively. And defensively, Dan Sorensen's a problem, guys. He's a liability. He got burnt on 2 coverages yesterday that resulted in touchdowns. And he had no business being out on the field. And yet again, Spags has not made the personnel change. Juan Thornhill should be starting over Dan Sorensen. It is not that difficult. Dan Sorensen, I love what he's done in the past, but he is one of the worst players in the NFL right now. He blows coverages. He can't make tackles. And Tyrann Mathieu addressed this after the game. He's like, hey, I mean, the scheme's not the problem. It's just that we can't stay on our guys and we can't tackle. I'm sure he's fed up. I mean, you even saw it on one of the blown coverages where it resulted in a touchdown for the Bills. Tyrann Mathieu just looks behind him and throws his hand up in the air like, Dan, what the hell are you doing? The guy was wide open. And honestly, props to the Bills. The Bills came in and basically had their way with us. I mean, they really did kick our ass. Let's be honest. And I think that, honestly, I expected this to happen, but you just never want to see it. You never want to see it, and I think that this Chiefs team has got a lot of work to do. We're looking at a team that, quite frankly, at the current state, they're not good enough to make the playoffs. They're not. They're fourth place in the AFC West. They got a record of 2-3. You're 5 weeks through the season. Your schedule doesn't get that much significantly easier. I'm starting to wonder if this Chiefs team has any talent. I mean, obviously they have talent, but they're not utilizing it. And I think that's what's the most frustrating. You know, people are blaming Brett Veach, and don't get me wrong, I am not happy with Brett Veach right now. But when you look at the current state of this team, there is no reason for them to be performing the way that they are. They have the talent, they're just not performing. And that is so maddening to see a team that has gone to back-to-back Super Bowls with, in my opinion, probably less talent than this, not succeed. It's frustrating. And quite honestly, it's very confusing. You know, I said this on Twitter last night. The Chiefs defense in the third quarter, and don't get me wrong, up until that point, they were absolutely terrible. But in the third quarter, they were all right. They got a few stops. They gave the ball back to the offense, and the offense couldn't do anything. They just gave the ball right back to the Bills. And it's just like when the Chiefs defense finally steps up, the offense goes away. When the offense steps up, the defense is non-existent. It's just they cannot be playing good football on both sides of the ball. It's impossible. This is a problem the Chiefs have dealt with basically all of the franchise's history. I can't remember a time in which both teams, or in which both sides of the ball were playing exceptional football at the same time. I mean, I guess you could say the 2019 Super Bowl team, but even then that defense wasn't phenomenal, but they were good enough to get the job done. This defense is not good enough to get the job done. I mean, you saw what they have done against any good team in the AFC. You gave up 30 points to the Browns, you gave up 38 to the Bills, you gave up 35 to the maybe it was 35-36 to the Ravens. They are not good enough to get to the playoffs and let alone beat an AFC team that has any good talent. And that's really frustrating. And you know, a lot of Chiefs fans are blaming the refs on this one. You can't blame the refs when you lose by 18 points. You lost by 2 touchdowns, a field goal, and more. You're telling me the refs had any impact on this game? Don't get me wrong, there were a few bad calls. But guys, we got our asses kicked. And once you accept that and move on, it'll be better for you. Because I think the Chiefs just need to move on from this game as quickly as possible. You need to keep it in the back of your mind, but you also need to move on. And we're on to Washington. The Washington football team is our next opponent. We go to Washington. That should be a good game because the Chiefs should win that game. The Washington football team's defense isn't any good, but I would be lying if I said that I was not worried about Washington. That's just kind of the current state of how I feel about this Chiefs team. And you know, it's kind of funny that last night it was raining cats and dogs. We had to postpone the game for like an hour and 15 minutes at halftime because of the rain and lightning. That rain and lightning perfectly describes how I feel about this Chiefs team right now. It's all dark and there's no sunshine anywhere close. I think that this team is just not got that urgency in which you want them to have. They just do not seem like they want it enough. And that's a problem. And I think that has a lot to do with coaching. And clearly the Chiefs are not where they want to be. I think that they might be able to turn it around, but I don't think the division is going to happen anymore. You are 2 games behind the Chargers and they have the tiebreaker against you. There's just so many obstacles. But honestly, the Chiefs need to take this game by game. If they go by trying to get to the Super Bowl right now, they're not going to win. I mean, that's just kind of what we've seen over the past 5 weeks. If you do not take your opponent seriously, you are going to lose. You know, Andy Reid last night in the press conference was like, yeah, we didn't really expect that. What do you mean you didn't expect that? The Buffalo Bills are a great team. You didn't expect them to come in and put up points? That's a coaching problem. I really think that this personnel on this team is not very good. But when you have a coaching staff that is not putting the right guys in the position to succeed, you're getting the play on the field in which we are seeing. You are seeing guys in the wrong position, in the wrong role, get exposed. Dan Sorensen was always good because he came off the bench. He was able to provide a spark. When you forced him into a starting job, he has never been good. That's why he's never been a starter. And once the Chiefs finally realize that, I think they're going to be better off. But it's not just Sorensen. It's a lot of problems because they don't have the personnel on the defensive line. I mean, I'm going on a rant here, And honestly, I'm just very frustrated because I think that, it's really sad to see a team that I believe has a lot of talent not live up to expectations. And honestly, as Chiefs fans, we all know that this is unacceptable. They've set the bar so extremely high, and the fact that you are 2-3 through 5 weeks of the season is nothing but utter disappointment. I mean, that's just what it is. Getting back to the some of the penalties last night, they called roughing the passer on Frank Clark when I personally don't think it was. And Rashad Fenton got an interception on that same play, but obviously they negated it, and it was actually 3rd and long, so it gave Buffalo a first down. They ended up scoring on that drive and basically ending the game. But again, you can't blame this game on the refs. There was a terrible offensive pass interference call on Josh Gordon, who actually did have a catch in this game. He had like a 11-yard catch for a first down. And for a guy that just got signed up off the street like a couple weeks ago, I'll take that. I think he's going to get a lot more of a role in this offense once he kind of gets it down, but there's very few positives. I mean, I like Josh Gordon other than the pass interference call, and I thought Rashad Fenton played pretty well, given the fact that he was really the only one that looked physical, and I think that's a great point, and I'm glad that I thought of it. The Chiefs are soft. Offensively, defensively, this team is soft. And that is all a problem with coaching. And you should know that this team does not have the mental toughness to win games. They're soft, guys. They're really, really soft. Offensively, defensively, and there's no excuse for that. And that should fall at the feet of Andy Reid. He's got to get his guys ready to play and toughen them up, because that's a problem. You've seen opposing teams basically run all over this defense. And on offense, they don't look like they have any sense of pride. I would say that this offense has been pretty flat through this season. There's been moments in which, all right, you see Tyreek Hill take the top off of it, he catches a long bomb, or you see Travis Kelce making the plays that made him famous. But besides those plays here and there, this offense is not really that good. I mean, obviously they are good, but for Chiefs standards, they're not anything like they were last year or even the year before that. And I don't know why, guys. I really don't. Watching this team from a distance, I would say that their biggest problem defensively is getting pressure. Last night, I was tweeting this out. On 3rd and long, you should be sending everything. Literally everything should be going at Josh Allen. And they did that a couple times, and I think that it worked. But they kind of went away from that. And I can't blame them because they were down by so much. But you got to send pressure, guys. Like that is the main goal in every game, should be to get after the quarterback. And when you can't do that with your front four, you got to blitz. And the Chiefs just haven't blitzed recently. So, this one's rough. I mean, again, I knew what was going to happen. I knew the Bills were going to come in and they were going to beat us. I didn't think it was going to be this bad, but damn. I mean, the Bills really just proved to everybody that the Chiefs are no longer the best team. And that's tough for a lot of Chiefs fans to grasp, but like I said, the Chiefs need to find their identity because right now they just look lost. And I think that over time they've got the leadership to probably figure it out, but as I've said in previous weeks, you don't have the luxury of time that you used to have. This division isn't a pushover anymore. You're still last in the AFC West. The Chargers are a bona fide playoff team, and so you don't have the luxury of playing a pretty bad 5-6 games, but figuring it out because your division's only 2-5 or 1-4. You don't have that anymore. The Chiefs are in a position where they actually have to show up to play football. And since all these teams in the AFC have gotten so much better, the Chiefs haven't adjusted. They're still playing like they did last year in the sense of we're just going to show up and play like mediocre football, but Mahomes is going to bail us out and we're going to win the game, and we're the Chiefs. That has not been the case this year, and it's because it's a really unsustainable way to win games. The Chiefs were able to do it last year, but it's not sustainable for a long time, and we're seeing that this year. I don't even really know what to say. This game is just really frustrating to talk about. I think that we might as well get to the injuries. Clyde Edwards-Helaire had a knee injury last night. Actually, today, though, it got revealed that it's not anything serious. It's like an MRI. Not an MRI, that's a test. He had like an MCL sprain, so he's going to be out a couple weeks. Joe Tooney broke his hand, which that's a big concern. Tyreek Hill got banged up. I think it was with his knee. And Travis Kelce, with like 4 minutes to go left in the game, took a brutal hit, a shoulder pad to the helmet. And Andy Reid described it as a stinger. So that doesn't sound good. But, again, like I said a couple minutes ago, it seems like the rain and lightning that was happening last night perfectly described how this Chiefs team is performing. They're falling apart. Injuries-wise, the production on the field, it's all falling apart. And I know I might sound like the end of the world and I might just be all negative, but I don't know how anyone could watch that game and take away any positives. I mean, I still don't see any positives, but I could be wrong. You guys might tell me in the comments that, hey, Michael, they had a great drive that ended in a touchdown. But, as someone who has very lofty expectations for this Chiefs team, seeing them completely and utterly fail to even come close to those, it's disappointing. At this point, this Chiefs team might win 11, 12 games, maybe, and that's only if they figure out the defense. But that's a big question mark at this point. So I don't even know anymore, guys. The Buffalo Bills, props to them. They came in, they played a better game than we did, and they deserve to win. Josh Allen is a superstar, and we saw that last night. He was running all over the place. Our defense couldn't adjust, and he was hitting his receivers, his tight ends, and he looked good. The Bills' defense was flying around making plays. Really stopped our offense. Our offense has lacked good play calling, I feel like, recently. They've been just trying too many swing passes, especially last night, and it caught up to them. I think that the Bills are a really good team, and the Chiefs seemingly did not understand how good the Bills were because they came in this game and looked like they were going to play like the JV football team at Shawnee Mission East. It's really disappointing. It's really disappointing. So with that being said, guys, I'm going to wrap this video up. I've kind of went on a small little rant here and there, but that's just kind of my thoughts. I'm going to tell you how it is, and that's just what I am feeling about this Chiefs team right now. And I guess my closing remarks would be, I hope Dan Sorensen never touches the field again as the Chief. And among other things, I think the Chiefs are going to figure it out, but we're going to have to see. This team is no longer a Super Bowl contender, and hopefully they prove me wrong, but it's an uphill climb. Right now, you're at the bottom of the mountain, and you got to find a way to claw back and get up to the top. So with that being said, guys, the Chiefs lose this game on Sunday Night Football in front of the entire world by a final score of 38-20. But the hope is that the Kansas City Chiefs can find a way to bounce back. Thank you for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed it, hit that like button, comment, and subscribe for more of the best Chiefs content on YouTube. You can also follow us on Instagram for more of the latest updates on future videos, as well as instant Chiefs news right after it happens. You can also support the channel via the Patreon, as well as buying merchandise from the KC Sports Report store on Teespring. The links to all of those websites will be in the description. You just listened to the KC Sports Report, presented by Michael Darcy.